Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Travis Told You on a Tuesday, January 20th. Fuck, January 20th. I think life's always moving by fast, but now, especially that I do Travis Told You. Oh, I'm really quiet. Hopefully I'm not too loud for you now. Sorry if I was very quiet, but January 20th, Travis Told You. The fact that I do this now most of the times, twice a week, and I have to read out the January, December. I know I live my life every day and I see this stuff, but saying it just on air and then seeing the calendar there, oof, just crazy. But yeah, we're here. We are back for Travis Told You. It's supposed to be Travis and Taylor Told You, as you see, but where's Taylor? Always late. Doesn't matter. I got a tight schedule, so he will join us at some point. Maybe not, who knows? Luckily, I know how to fly the ship alone. But what I was going to say is, so I have announced, let me turn the music down just in case. I never know how loud it is. And unfortunately, I don't have anyone else here. But I hope everyone's doing well on this Tuesday here, on this January 20th, whatever you want to say. I hope everyone's having a good week so far. If you don't follow Patreon or you're on YouTube at Patreon, as I've said before, there is a free tier and you can get all the updates. We do post those updates. We post the updates as far as, hey, even if like I said, it's a free tier. Anything that's the schedule updates, we'll let you know. I did announce on the weekend, I think, that Travis Told You for now is going to be going to Tuesday and Thursday. The reason with some of the changes, it kind of works out because this Thursday it's going to be just myself. I'm going to be talking about the Oscars, and then there'll be a couple of other ones like Wuthering Heights. I'm just reviewing that, so it kind of works out as far as if it's being the Thursday or Friday. The reason is, so right now you can go on the feeds. Taylor and Kirkland reviewed Night of the Seven Kingdoms. They're going to be doing that for the next 6 weeks. The only thing I'll get them to remind everybody, but I think it's like the third or fourth episode. Whenever Super Bowl weekend is, they'll be skipping that episode. They'll do a 2 episode to catch up the week after or so, because Taylor's away and it's also Super Bowl, so Kirkland also watches the Super Bowl, but that's one of our biggest nights as far as the trailers and everything like that. So yeah, we decided, hey, let's put that as a combo thing. And anyways, what I was saying here was, so we have that, and we try our best not to double up on episodes on the feed, because if people don't know, it's behind the scenes. Sometimes it's all right, but lots of times when you put something out and the algorithm's going and the feed's up there, oh, this fucking guy, 3 minutes late. 3 minutes late this man is. Look at this.
I like to ease my way in here, let you have, your intro and stuff, because it's your show.
Ease away. But anyway, so I was just talking about why this is on Tuesdays, because if people that don't host podcasts or anything on YouTube, anytime you release something, obviously it pushes down the feed and can kind of sometimes cut off the it going to places, especially if someone's like, hey, I'm looking for Night of Seven Kingdoms, I'm searching podcasts. If they pull up Geekverse and something else is on there, it might not show that episode. It's always most times it's going to show the newest episode. So the reason I'm doing that is because they got Night of the Seven Kingdoms for the next 5 weeks. And then after that, I know there's multiple Sundays where me and the Gimmick Boys will be going because it's WrestleMania season. So there'll be lots of episodes dropping on like a Monday or Sunday at, 11 p.m., stuff like that. And then in April, we will be reviewing Euphoria, which starts Sunday, April 12th. So that's why there's just too many things. That's not my music. There's too many things releasing already in the Monday that I just didn't want to double up. Granted, there will be times if life changes and I can't do the Tuesday, then I'll do the Monday. Or if there's something massive breaking news, then sure. But that's going to be kind of the working idea right now, is Tuesday and Thursday going forward. And I'll say at least until Euphoria is done, because I'll be on most of those. We'll have to see if Taylor catches up, because the very first episode I might have something scheduled. I might, if things work out, I might be in Vancouver with Dylan watching some wrestling. So I don't know if Kirkland wants to do a solo review, so if you do catch up on Euphoria, Taylor, let us know so we can plug you in there. But I am here joined by the man, the myth, the legend. I don't know the names because I guess it doesn't show names with these banners, but Taylor Field.
But I put a name in there, but it's secret, I guess.
It's secret. Let me get rid of the banner. We will rock you. Why are you rocking me? Oh, I see.
You know.
We have that. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about some Star Wars news, because we talked a little bit on After 9. We didn't do a deep dive because that's why After 9, we always go on many rants and tangents and whatnot. But I want to get Taylor's thoughts because he was not there, and just a few updates and some quotes from Kathleen Kennedy and some speculation. And then we'll talk about the 20 years box office. And then, yes, we'll talk about supposedly there is a B tier room around of The Rock becoming the Scorpion King once again. But Taylor Field, how you doing?
Doing good. Tired and working away.
Tired? Why? What's going on?
I just go to casinos late at night and
Casinos,
no, I'm
my
kidding.
God, what you winning?
No, not much. No, it's just been raising
Oh
my
my,
family and
your
working,
family,
raising
even
my
Madison.
family. Yeah, yeah, disciplining and all that kind of stuff. But no, just yeah, late nights, figuring out the
Hmm.
schedule, and working on my family book. That's been going well.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Yes.
been a big project I've been tackling. Had some headway though. I found short tangent, because I know we only have an hour. I went on
Yeah.
to Facebook and I was like, oh, you know what? Let's look up like those Facebook groups. 'Cause sometimes people create groups for certain things, like locations and
Facebook
places, and
groups.
people just put photos of those locations. So I found a
Mm-hmm.
location where my family worked their business, and I reached out, commented, posted, or whatever, and then these people were saying, "Oh yeah, my great grandmother used to work for your company." Da da da. I'm like, "Holy crap, this is pretty sweet." Okay, so I'm trying to see if I get any new deets coming from there. But yeah, ancestry and family history, it's a good time.
Yeah, you're very you're very concerned with that, or that's a big concern. Like my dad got me one of those things, and it has like just the online, the tree, and everything. I don't care. People reached out for me and say, "Oh, that's cool. They're related," and then that's kind of it. I'll never talk to them again. So that's why it's just like
Yeah,
you're big into the lineage and everything. But
I am.
uh, yeah, are you worried there's gonna be some bad situation where the person's not related to you, but they're lying or something?
Well, that is the case with my grandma. So my great grandma on my grandma's side, there's a whole thing I'm
She's
trying to
lying.
unravel, and it's very difficult to find because this is the Chinese factor, right? Now, my great grandmother told my grandma, like, "Hey, your dad is this white guy. We got married, da 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 da." But then my son disagrees.
Mm.
I looked into it and found that there's genetically, I'm not related to who my great grandfather is. So, and
Wow.
my grandmother has half siblings because I looked at the siblings that I'm related to on her mom's side, but not people on her dad's side. My great grandfather's side reached out and like, hey, we're like cousins, whatever. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, hey, no, we're not, because look, we're not actually genetically related at all. We're just, just
Taylor just
through
shit
through
on someone's
marriage. So
day. Just wanted to come check on their cousin. We're not related. We're not.
well,
Get
no,
out of
like
here.
my grandma's mom sneaked around with a Chinaman. That's pretty
Wow.
much yeah. I don't. Sorry, that's not the political term. I'm sorry. I don't. No offense. I'm gonna be careful.
Yeah, that's it. You know
Uh,
what? Welcome back to Just Travis Told You. Yeah, you're part
it was
Asian.
over a
I think you're
century ago.
safe. But well,
Yes.
you know what? If you didn't like Taylor's comment, you probably have a few more hours to fill out our survey, so you can put anything negative in there. I don't have the link here. It's in Discord and stuff because we're going to be recording that in about I don't know 8-9 hours from now or whatnot. Have you read any of the results? Or are you going in completely blind? I know I've sent you a couple.
I'm completely blind. I've
Okay.
seen what you've sent, but I've not read
Yes.
anything. Is that something we're doing? What is that on the schedule today? Oh, look at that town hall. There we go.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna
We're
write in
good.
a survey. Taylor didn't know what's going on, but yeah, we're doing our town hall. It'll be what we've been watching. There might be some news, but I don't know if there's not too much news. Me and Taylor are covering some today, and I don't mind if the town hall is the only thing because sometimes that can go not like longer, but a full episode. Because yeah, we're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff that you guys put in. Thank you everyone. I think it's the most response we've got before. Lots of kind words as we'll talk about. I will say this on the town hall. We won't get into the kind words because we don't want to just be like a glaze fest for Geek First. But this easily was the year people said the most kindest stuff, the nicest stuff, and I'll get into the town hall. But big thank you to people that are listening and very appreciative. I think you guys saw how hard we worked last year, and you guys are intentful, whether you're subscribing or the good surveys or Patreon. We really appreciate it. So yeah, tonight we're gonna go over just some thoughts, some things you put in. Even sometimes they're just questions or concerns about the show. Not so much. I guess there's like two concerns which I have no problem answering or whatnot. Or just I think it's good because I think sometimes I see stuff in here and I can definitely tell it might be people that haven't listened before. Because we'll again say this. Someone said, "Hey, you should do a Patreon feed for like early episodes." It's like, well, we got that. Like it's there. Like phase 2, it's there. So that's why I understand that sometimes we do plugs at different times or different episodes. You might not hear everything we talk about. So the town hall is always a good like, hey, this is our plan going forward. We're not really changing much content as far as the schedule wise. We kind of set that up every year. But there's one thing we might be adding when we talk about the survey. So yeah, there'll be some fun stuff in there. So it's a good time. And yeah, just it'll just be us chilling, hanging out. So you can join us tonight for that. And then yeah, let's get into this, Taylor. So We talked about this the week before because there was a report that came out that said, "Hey, Kathleen Kennedy, she's stepping down. It's going to be these two replacing her. Should be happening next week." And yada yada yada. And credit to the I can't remember the Puck News. Credit to them because they were full and right that they got the people that replaced her. She's stepping down as of this week. She's stepping down. Taylor, the era of Kathleen Kennedy is over. Obviously, we weren't sure. Was this is she going to announce her replacements and then she's there for a while, but she's done? She's still technically, of course, a producer on Mandalorian, Grogu, and Starfighter, but then other stuff she might just be an EP on, but those are her last two. This is, I guess, something that's been in the work for 2 years, which kind of makes sense because I feel like from actual scoops, like big time sources, I could say like B or higher, we've heard like, oh, she's on her way out. So it kind of makes sense that maybe why 2 years has been, maybe that was the idea of, okay, pick the two people or pick the people and then you're going to train them. So also we're not going to we'll talk about Filoni today, but we're not going to talk about those choices as much because we did a whole cast about that last week and everything. I'll just ask you, were you surprised that it was an immediate step down and not like a, hey, here's my replacements? It's a, hey, by the end of this week, obviously we won't see all the repercussions. I still think for a couple years because maybe Star Wars Celebration they'll announce some stuff, but were you surprised that it was kind of immediately that, hey, by the end of this week in January, Kathleen Kennedy is done at Lucasfilm? In a sense, I'm sure she'll always be welcome back, etc. To check on stuff.
I
She'll
think
be in the
it'll
red
be like
carpet.
it'll be like the George Lucas kind of thing, like, oh, George, you're always welcome to come back. Oh, you got a new script? Yeah, let's take a look at that. But I think.
I don't know about that. They might ask her, but I don't. They don't have to listen to her.
Yeah, I think it's something that's just been it's been cooking for a while. We've all kind of just been preparing for this. Some sooner than others with red eye thumbnails and whatnot.
Yes,
but it
which
does
also we're not going to get into this because we don't know what it is. But apparently, LA Times was reporting that Disney's expected to announce their next CEO next month. So even Iger's soon to be on his way out. It sounds like, or at least the plan.
Well, and Iger's the problem person, right? He's the one who's like, come for Ben Solo, squashed.
I think they're all the problem people, like I think Star Wars, what I learned from last week is I feel like in general, we're just we might just be fucked because we learned about that before because everything, I'm not a red eye thumbnail guy. I think Kathleen Kennedy talked about before, me and Taylor even did a cast in summer. We literally called it that she has 50-50% as far as wins in Star Wars since she took over and losses. And that's not bad because look at like the fucking DCEU. That was nothing but losses. There's other universe, nothing but losses. So I thought she did a good job at the start, and then as things went along, it got rocky, right? But then, so it was always like, oh, she's the problem. We'll have to go to Filoni or someone else. And then, like you said, Taylor, that Solo news came out. It's like, okay, it's Iger. But then also we've heard with the Acolyte, or again, what got reported now, which I have up here, by an A-tier scooper. Now, Filoni has come out to deny it, but an A-tier scooper putting out that, hey, we hear that he didn't like Andor, that means like more than enough people are, talking about, hey, like, I don't know if Dave likes, and I'm not saying Dave is like, I hate, like, it says it's like, I need this cancel, whatnot, but like, we all have that, right? It's the same way as like, you look at even Dylan, right? But like, if like Dylan, Kirkland, and myself and Taylor talk about what we like in Star Wars, Taylor loves Star Wars, but we don't like the same things. We don't like the whole like he loves the clone and captain aspect, and I love the Star Wars, like the Force, lightsabers, all that good jazz, right? So I can understand that. I think it's also tough when you're in a company wise where you have Andor that has all these awards and all this recognition, and then you have a lot of the other stuff that's very iffy, like it's not been the perfect track record since, I'd say it's been really rocky since obviously I'd say like Boba Fett, because I know people throw Rise of Skywalker up, but that was the end of a trilogy, and then they had Mandalorian right now, and that picked them up right away, right? And that kind of reunited the fan base for a little bit. I think with Andor, that's the thing that sucks the most as that happens. But what I was saying to Taylor is, even to Kathleen Kennedy last week, who we talked about this on After 9, who knows if she is telling the truth? Who knows she's lying? Same thing as Rian Johnson. But for her in this exit interview to say, oh, I think Rian Johnson got a little spooked, I found that a little odd because it feels like almost all the Star Wars stuff, anytime controversy happens, No director's spoken out. No director said anything. It's just been, oh, creative differences. Oh, I'm happy to work with stars. Like even Phil Lord and Miller, like, oh, we've got, like, if you look at all those statements, I think they're quiet after, but all of them are very hunky dory, right? So I get she's leaving, but it felt odd to me. And maybe it's the truth. Maybe that's she's saying that, right? But it felt odd to me for her to single him out and say he got spooked by the fan base. Again, could be true. I get him pushing back. Now, if he did get spooked, then I don't know why he'd push back, but I get him pushing back. So that's why it's for me, like, even that comment on her way out, and I'm not like, oh, this makes me hate Kathleen Kennedy. No, she's a great executive, produced many films I've loved in the past. This doesn't change my day at all, right? But I found it odd that she singled him out and said that. So for me, between Iger and Filoni and Kathleen, we don't know who to trust because the thing is, one, we hear maybe 25% of what actually goes on, and two, all of them probably feel differently about Star Wars. If you were to get them in a room and think, what does Star Wars be? Iger, Kathleen, and Filoni might have all different answers. So that's why I don't think there's like a good guy or a good person, not good, but you mean in the sense of creative, right? So yeah, it was odd to hear her say that, and then good for Ryan to put that out there. So Super Mike says the very existence of Rise Skywalker proves it's Lucasfilm itself was spooked. That whole movie was backpedaling. That's right? Because I've seen a lot of people come out against Johnson and be like, oh, well, like they're like bringing up tweets in the past, him arguing with people, like people about his movie on Twitter and whatnot, which is probably not a great idea. But I never took that as like, oh, that confirms he's spooked. And sure, maybe he is, right? Maybe he was. Maybe he announced that trilogy and then after went to Kathleen and went, you know what? Let's wait till it calms down. Or you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. That's fine. But he had nothing to do with Rise of Skywalker, to Super Bad Mike's point, right? He had zero to do with that. He had zero to do with firing Colin Trevorrow. And I'm sure all studios, DC, Marvel, have times where they get spooked and they backpedal. But in the public, Star Wars has done that more than anybody as far as the big three, even all franchises in, I'd say, like the last 20 years, right? Colin Trevorrow, even without his movie, because some people said, oh, he directed that. I've never seen it. That Book of Henry movie supposedly was like really bad. And then that's another reason they took away from, right? You could say they got spooked with that. They got spooked with Lord and Miller. They got spooked with fucking Gareth Edwards, right? They had Tony Gilroy come in and reshoot a bunch of Rogue One. So they have a history of being spooked and changing stuff, right? Even to a smaller degree, I think that's something that happened with Grogu. They make this big effort, this big finale, this big moment of Luke Skywalker taking Grogu. What are we going to do with Mando and the crew all alone? When we get to see Grogu next, guess what? You just got to wait 6 months or something and you'll see him in a whole different show and he's back. Like they have a track record of being spooked. So it was odd of her to say, and not even that, just odd of, unless like maybe she had a text chain with Ryan Johnson recently and she was like, fuck that guy. Like he said something to her, right? Like it just felt odd. And the whole time, I'm sure they've been spooked, but the entire time of Star Wars, they've been very good at being very quiet. DC's not had that. DC's had a bunch of people speak out, even on the Marvel side, right? Even you go to like whether he's justly fired or not, like Bo DeMeo, it's like that thing happened, right? Or other directors happen where it's like they kind of talk, or the ScarJo thing happened, right? Where it's like, sure, they didn't say anything, but you guys are in a lawsuit, so there's some bad stuff going on there. Star Wars, when everything drops and a person goes away, it's still like, oh no, we're a big happy family over here. So I'm not saying it wasn't even a shot. It was just weird of her to say that. So I would throw the Tifffield, but he had to bounce out to go check on his baby. So I will go check on him, or I'll ask him that when he gets back. But that's the interesting thing. Oh, that's what we talked about that with Iger, with him on his way out too. Marvel, Disney, Star Wars going through some big changes the next few years. And again, I don't think the last CEO worked out well for them for a multitude of reasons. So the same thing as far as like, what is going to happen with all these brands? What's going to happen after? I'm very interested in 2028, barring any delays, right? Because right now you have the Batman and Man of Tomorrow. Fuck, I'm gonna make that slip a bunch of times. Man of Tomorrow coming out within 6 months of each other. What's that gonna do? James Gunn's contract expires in 2027. They have, now you can hear my babies. 2027. Netflix deal will probably be finalized by then. Like I said, what's Gunn and Safran gonna do? So you have that, right? Yeah, there you go. Nina Costa spoke out too, and she's somebody that I really respect how she spoke out, and I really like Nina Costa. As like I see her in interviews. Like, what I just saw a clip of her yesterday talking about Last Jedi, of course, but like I really like her. I still haven't seen Hedda, but Candyman, loved the 28 Years Later, the second one here, Bone Temple, which we'll talk about, but. So you have that Star Wars, you're going to have Starfighter coming out. And that's when now, if we get a movie in 2028 or 2029, not only the reception, but it's like, hey, what are Filoni and Linwin, I can't remember her last name, but Linwin going to be announced? What's the direction they're going, right? And then with Marvel, what happens with all these? Because if Secret Wars is a big fucking massive hit, then they're rolling in the shit again and they can start anew with X-Men and do all this stuff. But what happens if it's critically bad, like Rise of Skywalker, might make some money? What happens if Doomsday's bad and Secret Wars suffers from that? What if there's all these scenarios, right? So 2028, I cannot wait to get there from a podcasting standpoint, because the landscapes, it's like we're in the middle of the war, and then we're going to see the aftermath of all that. So it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, Nia DaCosta, the way she's spoken out, she even said this way, like, oh, I'm super cool, Kevin. Like, he brought me to the set. I love that she was very serious of like, hey, I pitched them a movie. We made a movie. It did not end up being the movie I wanted to make, but that's what happened. And then even recently she said, yeah, you know what? That's not really a Nia DaCosta film. It's like a family film, right? And to me, it doesn't feel like the way of some people, and I get why Fincher did it, but some directors do that, right? If a studio gets too much a hold, they go, oh, that movie's not for me. Now, I'm going to let any director talk for themselves. If they feel like they got really fucked over and they didn't want to claim it as a movie, that's fine. But I like to just kind of like, you know what? It was a partnership there of making it. I'm sure she hopefully got paid well. The Marvels didn't work out, but like, I'd still like to see her do something. And I didn't hate the Marvels like other people. It's lower tier. Don't get me wrong here, but yeah, so I will ask that question when we get back. But so this has brought up something where should I go first? Maybe I'll go to this question here. This story here first, because this kind of sets up some things here. So yeah, should I do that question? Maybe I'll do the question first, because I can rant on this a little bit more. So this is from John, Patreon John. So thank you very much. A couple after nines ago, he made his debut. So I'll answer this, and this is still Star Wars related, and then we'll get into the other kind of stories around the article. But he asked, should Star Wars franchise be looking to create a new era of characters at this point, or continuing in the Skywalker Solo is the better option? He's saying, I felt Skeleton Crew was a good example of being a place new characters and storyline and familiar universe within Star Wars lore and create something interesting, right? That's why I have a lot of hope with. It's funny you think you were in that conversation a little bit too, because Clay asked, like, what can you do to really fix Star Wars, right? I think it's not like dead in the water. It can still make a lot of money. It's just in a very. You have to rehab it a little bit, because I said the three options were you gotta go either very far forward or very far backwards, right? That's one of the others where it's like, okay, you're telling stories that are really not linked to it, like a House of Dragon. It is, but you know what I mean, where you don't have to worry about the direct thing. You could do that, but as of right now, it seems like they're not doing that. Starfighter is only 5 years ahead, and we hear nothing but Knights of the Old Republic, right? Or even High Republic. So that's option one, is far forward, far backwards. The second option, which I know a lot of people don't like, is for me the reboot or remake. I would be completely fine. I know people might think that's sacrilege, but if they said we're going to put out our slates and then in 2030 we're doing Star Wars: A New Hope, like maybe they retail, but we're remaking that, or even if we're remaking Phantom Menace, I'd be fine with it. Like I would, because to me it's like, you know what? You could kind of get out of the situation you are now. Because the third option is you have to try and salvage it, which that's always tough, right? We're seeing that right now with Marvel. It's different because Marvel's a lot of big, heavy hitters, but look at like the year 2023 with DC, when they're trying to salvage the slate they had. Flash, Shazam, Aquaman, Blue Beetle. The audience checked the fuck out. Now, there's a lot of comic movies that year, granted, sure, that's another reason, but on a lot of those characters, that property, the audience checked out. Transformers, after eventually, Bay was killing it and putting all these billion-dollar movies out, but then whichever one happened before The Last Night happened, people started to check out, and then Last Night didn't hit $1 billion, and then Bumblebee happened, and then Rise of the Beasts or whatever, and then Transformers 1. That's the problem, is when you have to salvage something, you had to put a lot more work in it. So that's why for me, and Taylor's coming back, you might think it's sacrilege, but I would be completely fine if they said, yeah, we're just remaking Star Wars and starting anew, because you'd have no baggage. And because to me, it's like, well, then the story ends with 9, and I'm not happy with 9, but like, it's over, and you can go somewhere else and do new actors and whatnot. So Taylor, while you're gone,
no. So if you redo everything,
Yeah.
then why would they redo everything? Just they can go back and tell the stories with the original trilogy and with Luke Skywalker and stuff. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
sandbox, right? Like this,
But
and
they don't
you've
play in that
pitched this.
sandbox. They stay in the
They
same
don't, and
corner.
that's their
So,
fault. And that, I mean, if
yeah.
you redo everything and just go back to the original trilogy, I mean, it's gonna be the same story, same characters, some different new aesthetics and new takes, but you're
Yeah.
gonna struggle just the same. It's not change if they can't play in the sandbox and give us what we want, like not what we want, but give us great new characters, new stories in this universe in other areas and aspects, which they've tried. Then I do not trust them to do a whole reboot of that original trilogy, which we're familiar with, because it's going to damage and it's going to make the original trilogy prop even higher. So they need to play in the
Mm,
sandbox, play what they got, and just get better. I mean, like you've pitched this before, they need to go to the old Republic, High Republic era,
yeah.
and
But
just
like
like give
Mike
us that
says,
stuff.
I don't think Filoni's doing anything like that. Acolyte was the test that failed. Now they're like, we're not going to do that. We got the Game Knights or Republic announced, but here's my counter though. Don't you think the quality of Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, it hurts Force Awakens a bit because those movies are so messy? Because Force Awakens ends and you have all this stuff to look forward to, and then when you get to 8 and 9, it's a mess. So like
Yes.
if you continue, and this is my thing of as a Starfighter, and we'll talk about like trilogy and Rey movie, all this stuff. If those are bad or continue to underwhelm, that starts to hurt even more. So the original, it doesn't hurt the quality of the original trilogy in the sense of those movies. They can stand alone, but the continuality of them, the storyline, the characters that go throughout, like lots of people they like for example, right, like I don't feel this way, but look at Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Lots of people hate that Harrison Ford or god damn it, Indiana Jones ended up depressed and he was divorced and his son was dead, and people are like, man, that sucks because now the Indiana Jones ending character is that. I don't feel that way, but I'm saying that's where you're when you said, yeah, there's a lot of baggage if you reboot, but if you continually start to make stuff that sucks, then you're hurting the overall, like you're hurting all those stuff that come from past, like not in a vacuum. You can still watch Empire Strikes Back and be great, but I'm saying in the sense of it all going as one line, that's where I'd say I would be completely fine if they said I would go with reboot, not remake. I wouldn't want them to remake the movie, but if they're like, hey, we're going to start from Phantom Menace and things are going to be really different, like if they're like, hey, this time we're turning Obi-Wan into Vader and Anakin, like I'd be down for shit like that, where it's like we're going to tell a new mythos and do our own thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's. I think there's a place for stuff like that. I really do, but I just think they need to. If people aren't liking what they're doing, then that means that it's the people that they have employed writing and creating and doing these things. The actors and actresses can only do so much with what they're given, and I mean, in Acolyte, we got some damn good performances, and that's
Mm.
it's tough to say that too because they were given some pretty rough things to work with, but. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to company internal stuff, and they need to really get their stuff sorted out. I think they need to look at like a point A to point C, and just really focus on that because yeah, Force Awakens, that was like the most Force Awakens and Rogue One, two unified fronts. Everyone was there. It was Star Wars. It was back. $1 billion movies, and of course that continues to the sequel trilogy. But the sequel trilogy just was riding off of that Star Wars hype and that excitement. So I, yeah, I just think that when it comes to these movies, they need to commit to a start and a finish. And I mean, Mike in the chat, Ahsoka trilogy, here we come. I don't need something
It's
like
not the
that,
way.
but I think that they should have focused on, and I'll petition this, and I'm probably a minority, but an Heir to the Empire trilogy, like the book series, that would have just been a perfect focal point for a
Well, they
sequel
were doing
trilogy.
that, but that sounds like that wasn't, because it's funny, we talked about that last week where we said, oh, if he gets this gig, that movie's probably done. Right now in the report last week, it just said that the movie Dave Filoni's Mandoverse crossover movie is on the back burner. But at the same point, when Kathleen Kennedy was asked about the Hunt for Ben Solo, that also she said that was on the back burner as well. So she didn't say that was dead, but all people said that movie's dead. So for me, like her saying back burner to me means, oh, that Filoni movie's probably dead. If the Solo movie's on the back burner and even Adam Driver's like, this movie's dead, that means that's done. The Mandoverse movie is supposedly supposed to have we kind of knew this, but Mandalorian, Ahsoka, the Book of Boba Fett, and the Skeleton Crew kids going against Thrawn. So you're supposed to have all that going on. So it sounds like they were trying to go that way, but for whatever reason, they're not anymore. So
The Skeleton Crew kids against Thrawn. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if
yeah,
they're.
but it would have came with Jude Law.
I don't know. No,
That
Jude
would have
Law's not
came
going to
up
make a
there.
difference with the battle against Thrawn. But I mean, that's
He can help out. Boba
I
Fett's not gonna
guess.
either. This Boba Fett's not gonna.
No, I would much rather see Jude Law get used in a different sort of light because he's a Force user. That's not a Jedi. He's just out there doing his thing. He's a pirate, right? A
Yeah.
smuggler, scoundrel. And I like that a lot. But
Because how this led off is John asked our Patreon question. He said, "Should Star and you talked about this a little bit, but he said should Star Wars franchise be looking to create a new era and characters at this point, or continue the Skywalker a solo storyline that the better option?" And I guess, and then he said, "I felt like Skeleton Crew is a good example of being place new characters and storyline, a familiar universe within the Star Wars lore, and creating something interesting." And for me, that's where I'm kind of hoping Starfighter is that, even though it sounds like Rey's in there, because we haven't talked about this before, but they spoiled that there's at least they said a lightsaber battle, and I don't have this in the news because we don't have time to talk about it. I don't know, like I feel like I know they're not gonna be Sith, but Sith, dark side users, whatever, they got to be in this thing because like if there's a lightsaber battle, it's not a practice, it's not a duel. If it's a battle, it's like okay, Rey or somebody's fighting something, and I imagine they're gonna have a red lightsaber. In
you
my
think? I
opinion,
mean, when they say lightsaber battle, it couldn't be just like what's a good example? You have
yeah, they're
Night
always red.
Sisters.
They're
Like,
always red.
They're always red. But let's say like in Ahsoka in that like penultimate episode, you've got Morgan Elsbeth with her energy swords versus Ahsoka's lightsaber, right? So it's like
That's
a
not a
lightsaber battle,
lightsaber.
but it's
That's
not.
not a lightsaber
That's a
battle.
lightsaber battle, but it's not. Both parties aren't rocking sabers, right?
That's
So-
not. She doesn't have sabers. I don't count that at all. So
Elsbeth or Ahsoka?
Elsbeth. Ahsoka's fine. Ahsoka's
Yeah.
fine,
Well,
but-
well, yeah. I mean, so you're looking at lightsaber battles means that both parties have lightsabers.
Yeah, and it's been 5 years since in the story they said it's been 5 years, so you can easily find some Sith user or dark side user or whatever, and that's probably what Matt Smith's doing.
Okay, I'll defer to Ahsoka, Balin Skull, and Haiti versus.
Yeah, the two Sith in there.
They're not Sith. No,
They're Sith. They're Sith.
No, he says he's not Sith.
Why has he got a
not
red
Jedi.
lightsaber?
It's orange. It's not red. It's orange.
It's not orange.
He didn't
It's
bleed
still
that Kyber
it's
crystal.
orangey
orange.
red. It's a fucking red lightsaber. So they're all Sith. Even all the stupid the rule 2 never died. That was a mistake that Filoni made and a company. But I hope that Starfighter is like that. I think if you're asking me though, from what I want, I'm fine with either or. I like, and that's what we'll talk about in a second. This article speculating just brought up that I like the idea of continuing Rey's stories, Poe's story, Finn's story, and obviously especially Kylo Ren's story. Right? I think there's still enough people that enjoyed those stories in the trilogy, especially younger people, that will come out and see that. I also don't mind like Skeleton Crew, which I absolutely loved. I don't mind Starfighter as well too, is if they're just stories in the Star Wars universe and they're doing their own thing. I think the problem is, John, we can't, I can just speculate. We can't answer until Starfighter comes out because we have to see what that does financially. Because if you're asking me, even though people felt very mixed on the sequel trilogy, if you're asking me, what do you think does better, The Hunt for Ben Solo or even the Rey movie versus the Gosling Starfire movie, I'm going to pick Rey or Kylo Ren's movie every time just because they're established and it has some connection to characters, Luke, Leia, and Han, right? Where this is completely new Starfighter, right? Unless they start showing stuff in the trailer. But so from a business standpoint, I think it's always still good to lean on the Solo Skywalker stuff. I don't believe that the GA has like lots of other people like, I don't want any more Skywalkers anymore. I don't think that is it. But what about you, Taylor? You're muted if you're talking
my
to me.
freaking microphone. Sorry, I'm trying to time it with the baby screams.
Yeah. So which direction do you go? Do you go with some? You touched on it a little bit, but like in the future, should they've announced a Rey movie, but we don't know when that's happening. What should they do? A little bit of both. Stick with the characters they know, new stuff, etc.
I do think that they need to lightly stick with the characters that we know. And I say that not the characters of the original. I think the new characters that they've created, because that's just, you owe it to them, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to do a new trilogy, well, it's like the sequel trilogy brought back all the original characters. And so in the original trilogy, I mean, brought in, prequel trilogy characters, right? And that weird kind of timeline is set up. But I think if they do the sequel trilogy, you bring in Rey and all those other folks. And then, I think you gotta just you got to commit, and like I said, you do that point A to point C. You just give us that good story and stop freaking out with all of these different spin-off projects, because it sounds like, okay, this is a great idea, let's do a movie of this and a movie of that. Like, oh no, we're going to put this in the back burner because we can actually splice that story into an episode 10, or combine this with this. I feel like the Rey movie was a thing that they announced a long time ago, and then they back burner, and then it's like, oh, now we're going to be doing it again. And even when there's like interviews with Daisy Ridley talking about how, yeah, they're actively pushing forward
working on something
with her character. Yeah, we're working on something. And it's like, okay, well, that's all good and dandy, but it just, I think the future is best set with them moving with this, and they need to really get away from the lack of Jedi thing. I think, my personal opinion is that they need to go with a prequel kind of vibe where, okay, not like Old Republic stuff, but like, hey, Rey set up a new Jedi temple, Luke, it bombed, but like, hey, we're gonna have like a dozen Jedi in here, we've got it all set up, we're not gonna be dealing with planet exploding stuff, we're gonna deal with a bunch of Jedi, and like get into like Star Wars, get into like, okay, we're dealing with a conflict here, and nothing that's repetitive where, okay, the Jedi are going to compromise their morals and become soldiers for the Republic, but give us that story, okay, the Jedi are rising in and trying to become, like that balanced powerhouse again, and then you've got this rising galactic conflict where right now there's a void, like there's no, in the universe, there's no political power, right?
Leia's dead, and
Leia's dead. The resistance is
Hux
very,
and
very
all
basic,
dead.
and the resistance is just freedom fighters. They don't have a lot of political power amongst them. There's no I don't know if there's any senators really around, because most of them were all killed when the Starkiller base like blew up the New Republic, and so then the First Order is gone too. So who's gonna swoop in and fill this political void? Like the galaxy is open for the taking. Right, so
it's probably why they are still going to jump 5 years, though, saying like, oh, these people are the people now running it, which I hope it's just regular good people. We don't need another empire.
Rey takes over the new,
sure. I would be like, I know that's the point of Phantom Menace, but wouldn't that be interesting if the world decided that we're gonna let like the Star Wars galaxy,
the Jedi take over?
That to me would be something new. I'm not saying it would be right or wrong, but I think that would be super interesting if they all decide like, no, we want to go this route, right? And that's where you get a bunch of Jedi. And fuck, in the prequels, like the Jedi are almost running shop in the Clone Wars era, right? Like they're doing stuff. They're doing.
They were going to kill Palpatine, right, and take over the Senate.
They should have. I love that Anakin's like, don't hurt this unarmed man. It's like he just killed like dozens of Jedi, man. Like, and you cut Dooku's head off like an hour ago. But now, Mike, I know you're right. You say it doesn't need to be Jedi and Sith for a lightsaber battle. I just like, to me, it's just like the movies where it's like, what lightsaber color we're gonna go with? Blue. I just feel like they'd be like, well, it's gonna be a red. And everyone, if you don't know how I feel, if it's red, it's a Sith, because to me, the Rule 2 thing was a crock of shit when they introduced all the like, oh, the sisters and the brothers. There should be no other red lightsaber people, no other people using the Force. Should just be Sith or Palpatine and Vader. It's a bunch of bullshit. Like there can only be two, but then we have these 10 other cousins here, and that's what I would like. Is I joke around, but I would love it if they would. It doesn't make sense because there's always been more than two. But let's say they go with what they try to feed us, right? If we get a new Sith, I would love it if they almost reverse engineered and went, you know what? The Rule of 2 didn't work because look, like Palpatine failed, Vader failed. We're going to go back to old Sith where we're just going to have as many people as possible, because then you can get fucking 10, 20 Jedis, 10 Jedi, 10 fucking Sith out there. Like, I would love that if it was like before, because what did Revan, did he technically start the Rule 2, or was it Bane? No, it was Bane. But that was but it was right before Revan, or wait, Bane is before Revan, right? Because it's Bane to Revan, and then Revan to Malak. Yeah, and he does the Sith bomb. But like even then in that era, Knights of the Republic, there's tons of Sith around, right? So I would love it if they did that, where it's like, yeah, the Sith also, the same way we kind of hope that Rey as a Jedi would change some things with the Order.
Wait, sorry, no, Bane is after Revan. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, he started the Rule 2. Yeah, because that's how I remember in, like, there's that, like, I know Revan and Malak are kind of like a Rule 2 in a sense, but in Knights of the Republic, there's that moment where you fight Malak, and he's like, oh, here, deal with all these people, and just, like, dozens of Sith come out that you have to fight, right? And that's where I would love it if there was some Sith and Darkseid user that went, you know what? All this time, this has not been working out. We're going back to the old ways. We're going to not just do two people. We're going to have several. There's not going to be this master and apprentice. We got to take over. The same way the Jedi are changing. Who the fuck are all these people on my screen?
So, you know, right, I swear I've told you this before. You got Darth Krayt, and you got a Sith, Twi'lek. Yeah, so these are all like Sith characters that came out. This is during the time of Luke Skywalker's grandson, Cade Skywalker, right? So this was like a Sith.
That Twi'lek, man.
This is a Sith group that came into power, right?
That's great. Yeah, do something like that.
This would be pretty sweet. And they dropped the rule of 2, right? So it was just their whole group. But now there's the thing. So the Twi'lek, now it's rumored, and we discussed it, that she's supposed to have some appearance of some kind in that animated Maul series, right?
Oh, really? I missed that then. Maybe I forgot about that conversation.
Let's see if I can dig it up.
But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to the Rey thing, because we'll quickly go through some of this. So they gave some updates here. Old Taylor's looking. So Kathleen Kennedy gave updates on Star Wars Project. Just said, yeah, Ben Solo script's on the back burner. Said Taika Waititi turned in a script she calls hilarious and great, but it's not up to her if that movie goes through. That movie's not happening. James Mangold film is on hold, but he has an incredible script, so that's probably not happening. Donald Glover's turned in a script for the Mando movie, which I kind of fucking forgot about up until this point. I'm like, oh, we're still trying to do that. Hey, I'm still down for it. But this is where I'll throw to you that we've heard about this, but Simon Kinberg is actively working on a trilogy of films that Dave and Lin Wynn are very on board for. The rumor is that he's made a 70-page treatment right now, and they're supposed to be, if that's all good to go, start in March. They're supposed to write the full-on scripts. Now, again, with all these reports and different interviews, here's the thing, Taylor. This trilogy that Kinberg's making, Lucasfilm looks at it like episode 10, 11, and 12. They just don't know if they actually want to call it episode 10 because of the baggage of everything, but they view it as this is a sequel trilogy. So now that kind of plays into, because one thing that's very interesting in all these exit interviews she did, no one asked, or she did not answer, or chose not to answer. No, there's no quotes about the Rey movie whatsoever. Zero. So people, and that's where this article in Hollywood Reporter put out there, where a Star Wars sequel trilogy feels inevitable, says Hollywood Reporter, given the vocal desire for Soderbergh's Kylo Ren movie, and let's see, blah, blah, blah. And then of that note, Kinberg's new trilogy of Star Wars movie, which is rumored to include Rey, will be in essence the new movies that are 10, 11, 12. So now people are kind of speculating, which I do agree with, and it sucks for that crew. But Taylor, if let's say they decided in between, they meet with Ridley, we're going to do a Rey movie, great, let's get to it. And they're working on the Rey movie in a year from then, or whenever, they go, you know what, we actually are going to do episodes 10, 11, and 12. To me, I would understand not doing a Rey movie then, because I feel like that's counterproductive to do a Rey solo movie, but also have her in the sequel trilogy. I get it, or the sequel trilogy. I get it, because you could say, well, in the Rey movie, she's the main character. And in episode 10, she's going to be in an ensemble of characters, right? Maybe we're meeting even newer, younger people, and she's their master. But to me, I just feel like it's almost double dipping. I don't think that I love the Rey character, and I do think she's popular. I don't think she's popular enough to do a solo film and then her also as an ensemble. I don't think she's Iron Man, where you can do Avengers and then Iron Man. So are you okay with that? Lots of it's speculation, lots of it's picking up on things, but these reports have been at least going around that this next movie that Kinberg is doing, if it happens, they're looking at it as episode 10. And to me, it makes sense that Kathleen said, oh yeah, Dave and Linwin are really on board, because it's like, well, that's the one that's probably going to go through as episode 10. Are you fine with the Rey movie going away if we're getting episode 10, 11, 12? And how do you even feel about an episode 10 now? Because it feels like because remember when that was announced, that trilogy where it was the first S-tier scooper put out as they're doing episode 10, and then Lucasfilm clarified, like, well, it's just a trilogy. It's not like episode 10, but like they didn't want to like claim it yet. But it seems like more scoopers are like, it's episode 10. They just don't want to say it yet in case it doesn't happen, right? So how would you feel about 10? And then how would you feel about if the Rey movie dies because of, oh, well, we're going to do an actual Star Wars sequel now?
I would love to get a standalone Jedi movie. I would kind of lean towards a different.
It's almost like they could have done that with Obi-Wan Kenobi,
That's right. They could have, absolutely. But okay, if it's one or the other, I would love to have both. I really, really would, because I think Rey as a character needs that expansion, and we need a little bit more time with her on her journey and a solo journey, introducing new faces, new characters, a new mission, whatever she's up to. It doesn't have to be a long thing. It could just be like, hey, she's on this jump in and she's halfway through her mission trying to fulfill this thing, like Indiana Jones style, where he's just kind of roped into something, and that would be great. It gives us a chance to connect with the character some more. And then I guess that could be applied to another trilogy, where you have a trilogy with new characters and you have Rey just brought in like this position of Obi-Wan, Yoda, where it's just they come in second movie in the trilogy or first movie, whatever, and then they don't have a very dominating presence, but they're there long enough to kind of push the narrative forward.
I hope
but then
not.
You don't get development with them, so that's the con.
My pitch is, as much as I have issues with the prequel trilogy, I know people use the Ben Kenobi or Yoda. I would rather her be Obi-Wan Kenobi archetype in episode in the prequels, not that journey of the like apprentice to master, just in the way that like in the first movie it was very much a three-way of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon. Even Obi-Wan, for half that movie, he's just on that ship on Tatooine, right? Like but then at the end, he has a big fight with Maul, and then even with 2 and 3, he is a main character, but he's a main character along with Padme and with Anakin, right? That'd be my pitch for Rey. Is not that she's Luke, but not that she's Yoda and Ben Kenobi either, where she is because I don't want it to be like, oh, she dies in episode 10, they carry her on. Like, I'd like her to make it for most of them. Even if you want to kill her off, fine, get to episode like 12, sure, but I would pitch her as the Obi-Wan Kenobi archetype for the Phantom or the prequels. That's what I would say they should do with her in that type of screen time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can get behind that.
Yeah. Was there anything? Let's see. Oh, and then I wanted to ask you too. They just a couple things I was talking about while you're gone about they supposedly put out that this was from a A-tier scooper that Filoni is not a fan of Andor. Star Wars did come in and say that, oh no, he's a fan of Andor, don't worry. And then I guess it also came out today from that same place that Andor was one of the rare projects that he had zero input on, and then also came out that apparently he's not a fan of Visions either. So
I people are gonna hate me, but like I haven't seen Visions Volume 3. It's not something like I'm rushing to go and see, right? And
but there's probably great stuff in there.
Oh, there is for sure. Yeah. And there's a few other things that I really enjoyed, but I know at the end of the day, like it's definitely not my kind of cup of tea. But I'm happy that it exists and it exists for fandom to enjoy and to take in. I know Kirkland just eats it up, and I'm happy for him. It's not something that I'm necessarily eating up, though. I got Clone Wars and other stuff that I'm a glutton for punishment with. On the note of Filoni not liking Andor, we talked about it a while ago, so it is what it is.
And it definitely, to me, I said while you're gone, I feel like it's definitely the case because like I just feel like this comes up too much now from different reporters that like I think just people he works at Lucasfilm, and that one I kind of get. Visions I don't really understand because like it's not even canon, so it's like who cares? Like if it's a what if thing, it's like if you don't like it, just like leave it off to doing its thing,
That's
like
right.
let it be on Disney Plus. Because some of the best Star Wars ever to me is in those first 2 seasons. Same thing. I've not seen season 3 because I've been busy, but season 1 and season 2, there's multiple episodes where I'm like, man, this is phenomenal stuff. I would love this in live action, even if it wasn't connected.
Well, circling back to that Maul Shadow Lord thing.
Yeah, that and I also wanted to throw into that. What did you think about the Rian Johnson Kathleen Kennedy back and forth? Did you know about that, right?
I saw one comment with it, but I did not go and dig in.
Yeah, she said in this exit interview that he was spooked by the fan reaction. That's why he's not doing his movies, and he just put "never spooked." LOL. Sorry. So he shot right back.
He
saying
dropped an LOL. Oh no,
he dropped
sorry.
an LOL.
I believe Kennedy. Sorry,
you
Johnson.
do.
You dropped the LOL in there. I don't know.
I believe him because I think he's just like, this is ridiculous to me. When I drop LOL, that means I'm like I don't drop LOL anymore. It's a haha. If I drop LOL, that's something ridiculous. Like I'm shaking my head, like, oh, you know?
I see it as the other way. I see it like if you walk up to someone and you just slap them real quick and they're just like stunned and like and they're like kind of like spooked and they're like, well, I'm okay, LOL. I think he's just kind of shocked.
I don't think that's it at all. But
with the Maul Shadow Lord, yeah. So it looks like because Maul takes on an apprentice in there, and it's a Twi'lek, and I think the thing with that is that it's supposed to be Darth
that
Talon.
photo you used. Oh,
That was
what Emily and I are doing for next Halloween. My goodness.
Yeah, but I think the timing of this works. I mean, I don't know what the average lifespan is of a Twi'lek, but if you get the era of Rey and them, and then you have this chick who's been hiding in the background who trained under Maul, and then she could
you could also not
as
do any of that,
dark
right?
side user. You could
just use that character
sure.
and leave the Maul
But
stuff out.
Why? Oh, you could, but why plant the seeds? And we all know like Filoni is big on creating the origins. When you look at the Bad Batch, that's creating origins for Rise of Skywalker. With Mandalorian, that's also trying to create origins for Rise of Skywalker with the whole cloning Palpatine thing, and he's always focusing on these origins of these characters. And I think with
Also,
this,
it does also plant origins for like Clone Wars era stuff though too, though, unfortunately, right? So that's one thing. It might
it
not be the
does,
area
but
you're
I
thinking.
don't know exactly when is this show taking place. Oh, shit.
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah, it's just like that's the problem. Those are the two eras, right? And that's where we're gonna find out. Like if, that's where for me, that's where I do want episode 10 because I always want to go forward. If Dave Filoni is producing episode 10, there's a real test like that. That's a chance to you could try to get people to love these characters again, and you could go, hey. 7 to 9 didn't work because for a few reasons, but didn't work because we didn't have a full plan. If he and Linwin could rock the new trilogy 10 to 12 and it turns out relatively good to really good, then Filoni will earn a lot of credit. Like that's where to me, like the spin-offs, the side projects, prequel, sure. But if Filoni is helping with episode 10, there's no like his feet is in the fire then, because if it sucks, then everybody will be after him, just like they were with Kennedy, right? Like even his most supporters will be after him, not as much as I guess because you're not handling the Luke and Han and Leia, but still people will look at him and be like, oh, you dropped the ball here,
So this is from Sam Witwer. This is a year after the Clone Wars. So
fucking Christ, man.
this is basically filling in the gap where what happened in season 7? Like he was broken free by Ahsoka, and then he went off on his own, right?
Yeah,
he
Ahsoka was
escaped.
almost gonna fight him, and he tried to
Yeah.
recruit Ahsoka. Yeah.
So you're gonna get
God damn it.
you're gonna get between then and up to Rebels, his appearance in Rebels, and so you're gonna see a lot because he does rebuild his crime syndicate, right? When you look at Solo, a Star Wars story, so you're gonna get a little bit more of that. But again, I think if he recruits this little Twi'lek girl and then just she goes off on her own venture, that's all I want. I just think that's a little Easter egg. And then if they were to throw her in live action and people just see this like red saber, red skinned Twi'lek Sith user just popping in fighting Rey, I think that would be super cool. I would really like that.
So before we move on, because we're almost out of time here, fucking stars, I should have known. But so Rey, I think we both think that. What obviously we had all the hubbub with the Ben Solo movie, and that didn't happen, and then this resurgence. What would you put Kylo Ren's percentage of being in the sequel trilogy and being back? I'm not saying Force Ghost. I'm not saying Dream Flashback. I'm saying back as a character.
I'm gonna go 85%.
85 for me. It's just interesting, right? Because it's just like if they turned it down, like again, I think you know what I'm gonna say, because I was gonna say if they turn it down because they think he's dead, they don't know he's gonna come back. To me, actually, that's just bullshit. They actually, because to me, there's no way they can believe that, right? Like, well, Kylo Ren died, like, so I think if they can see the reaction, it's just a question of now can they put that in the newest scripts. I think no matter what, Adam Driver will appear in the new trilogy. I just really worry it'll just be in dream sequence or like as a Force Ghost, right? Like something like that. I think he's a lock to be in there. It's just what is the amount. I think it would be great to bring them both back. I hope that happens. But I don't think that would be an episode 10 thing. I think it would be, I personally think it would be like an episode 11. Like they build up to that and stuff. Or maybe they do episode 10 and just see and whatnot. So yeah, we will see. So we'll quickly go past these two because lots to talk about there with Star Wars. But 20 years later came out this weekend. 20 years later, I guess Bone Temple came out this weekend. I'll have to get the exact, but I'm pretty sure the predecessor came on at like 30 million opening weekend, and this came at like 15. So for domestic, so. Obviously, we're not going to talk any spoilers. Check out the review. Obviously, we're in a situation where they have announced the third one a couple months ago, but that doesn't mean anything, right? At one point, Warner Brothers was making a fucking back row movie, and we're never seeing that, right? So that's the thing where it's just like, I don't know. Because opening weekend for that first one was 30 million, and this was 13 million, and that was the problem where like it was projected to hit like 2025. And then they're like, oh, it's down to 15. And then it's down to 13. And it's so funny because in the draft, I think that when we were on our last picks, Dylan's like, oh, no one's really picking Bone Temple. And we're all like, no, like that's not the thing. Like, I was not surprised. Don't get me wrong. I was not surprised it was I'm not really surprised by any of this. I'm more disappointed because I was hoping it would be okay. Let's say the first one was 30 million. I was hoping, okay, maybe this could be 20. 20, it's like a $10 million off. But that first one came out in springtime, had been a long time. This hasn't even been a year since that first one. And I had said this to Dylan, I've said this multiple times, where I have yet to meet a single person in my real life that has seen the new one, right? Like, it's not like something where, oh, I know someone's seen Wicked, I know someone's seen that. With this, it's like 20 years later, I don't know what the audience is for this other than, we really love it. So why do you think it had, pretty much a over 50% drop for opening weekend? We have to see, because luckily it's reviewed better than the first one, and from a fan cinema score it's done better, so it seems like people have enjoyed this one more on the critical side, but obviously a big falter. So why do you think it fell so much? And then do you think they announced that third one, the ideas that Cillian Murphy's coming back, do you still think that's safe, or where are you on that one after this one? And again, this is the opening weekend. We don't even know the next few weekends. Maybe it has legs, or maybe it just keeps doing worse, right? Like, that first one made 150 million. I don't even know if this is going to crack 100 million. That's where I am. So why do you think it had such a kind of underwhelming follow-up?
January. I think the month of January is probably the big kicker. I think that month has a magical effect on people that just kind of reduces their engagement in seeing a movie for that month in theaters. It's interesting because we're at a pretty crazy scenario here where you have a movie that's really, really good versus horrible box office earnings. And it's unfortunate because everyone that enjoyed this movie, and I'm one of them, I'm afraid of the fact that the company is going to be like, hey, we're money driven, as any business is. It all comes down to
they still got to
money.
make a profit, right? Like, they still have to profit. They have to justify, as much as we always go like, oh, bad business, they still have to justify why they spent so much on X, Y, and Z.
That's right. And that's the shitty thing about making movies these days, is because good movies, you're not getting good movies anymore because it has to be about money, right? And so we're at a situation here where we're probably not going to get, hopefully, I knock on wood, might not get that third movie, and it could be a fucking banger. It could be a great movie. It could just blow it out of the water with its narrative and its characters and everything for this story. But it's not going to make enough money. So boo. You don't get it. It's like that's not good storytelling. And I mean, how do you change that? I think you just change the day. I think the only thing is the month of its release. I think people are pretty burnt out. They dropped their money on Avatar 3 hours. Like, I don't feel like going to the movies right now. And there's lots
just
of
Christmas
like
in general, right? Like, that's what we talk about, why January does bad. It's not just movies. It's people spend a bunch of money in December, whether it's family stuff, on the dinner, presents, so people don't have that much. But I guess that's the tough thing, because we were talking on the Discord, is I guess they could have waited till October, but like, there's nothing. There's like, February got Scream, so that's not happening. In March you have like Ready or Not 2 and another thing, like, that's not happening. So you could have waited till October. In retrospect, I think they should have. I don't know why they didn't. It's not like the third one's already shot and they're trying to release it. And because I'll one last time look at October, but I don't know why they, like, that is a horror month. And I do also think that, I think unless you are a massive property, if you're releasing within a year of yourself, that's risky. I still think Wicked 2 coming out, I think Mike pushes back and he's on the other side. For me, Wicked 2 coming out a year after Wicked 1, I think actually hurt that, because I think there's enough people
agree.
I think there's enough people that go, I just saw there, I've been there, and they also realize it goes on VOD really quick. There wasn't that, like, I gotta see the characters. Like, we just met them. But like, okay, so for October this year, it's Digger, it's Other Mummy, which is not a scary one, Other Mummy, The Social Reckoning, so the sequel, Social Network, Street Fighter, Remain, and then Shaun the Sheep, the Beast Bossy Bottom movie. In September, there's some horror like Clayface and Practical Magic, but I don't know why they didn't take a shot in October and just say, well, you know what, let's put it there, see what happens. Because January, I think in retroactively was not a good idea,
No, it was not. And the other thing too, I was thinking, like, maybe they're hoping that people would go to the theater, they would see this and think, hey, actually there's certain things that they unveiled at the end of this movie that will actually get people pretty pumped and bring them around. People will have word of mouth and they'll be interested in go see it and whatnot. But
problem with some of that word of mouth was already in the public though, right? They talked about certain things happening. So that's the thing. There was never a big on doubt for that. So yeah, I hope it happens. I think if it happens though, I'm not saying forever, but definitely that will be the last 28 film for a while. Unless, you never know, you can get
permanently.
a boot,
I don't know if you get another one.
I could see them always rebooting it in like 10, 20 years. Like even when we're older, someone takes an IP like, oh, try this out, or maybe it becomes a series, right? And which I don't actually think like would be awful. I think there's enough in this world that you could do a TV show of, but obviously got Last of right now, so they wouldn't do that. So, all right, for last 10 minutes, we'll talk about this silly rumor here. But you know what? It is coming from a B tier source, and it is coming from the same guy, Daniel RPK, who reported that, hey, they're doing a new Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser. He did that like a month before it actually came out with the Hollywood Reporter, and Brendan Fraser confirmed that. So this guy, I think, has a source within this franchise. I guess so. Again, if people don't remember, the idea is they are doing Mummy 3. The reason it's called Mummy 3 is because they're going to ignore the Mummy, the Dragon. What the hell is that? Tomb of the Dragon or
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor? Jet Li.
Yeah. Tara's too quick with that. So they're going to ignore that. They're going to bring back Rachel Weisz as well. We don't know about any other characters, but it's going to be kind of a sequel where this is the proper third one, right? So that's happening. Fraser's talking about that. That's confirmed. At least it's confirmed to be in development. I think it's going to happen. They're going to go through with that. But then I guess, so the same guy that put out that rumor and then became confirmed, he had put out yesterday that supposedly there is an idea to bring back The Rock for the Mummy 3, and it's not off the table of potentially doing another Scorpion King. Taylor Field, how do you feel? You're laughing. How do you feel about both these options of Rock back for 3 and the Scorpion King returning to the theaters?
Well, yeah, I remember when I watched the first Scorpion King, and that was the trailer on ahead of all like the previews for my VHS tapes.
It was
always
on
there.
a lot of trailers, Scorpion, because I remember that shot of Rock with the arrow and he's sweating and everything.
Oh yeah, they made it out to be a lot more like a sexual kind of like experience. I feel like with this witch lady and everything like that, but really like when you watch it, like the trailer was so serious. But when you watch it, it's actually really kind of like comedic and lighthearted and spirited and stuff like that. It has a classic kind of 2000s vibe to it, and I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. I think me and my dad, back in the video rental store days, we went ahead and rented one of the other Scorpion King movies.
Yeah, so there's like 5 of them or something.
There is, yeah. Here, let me see if I can name them all off, because one has like Ron Perlman in there, which is crazy.
I will say, so I think for the Mummy 3, I don't know. We've said we're definitely gonna retro the 3 mummies and Scorpion King. I don't know if we could do the other ones. I'd say I would have to take a poll, but I know the patrons, everyone will vote for us to do it. It's just a question of, will I get the Rock one? Would people actually listen to us review those other movies? Because I bet they're fucking bad, and I bet they'd be a fun time. But as we talk about 28 years later, we still also got to make a profit when we're doing the show with the extra content, right? So it's like, can we justify that? I don't know. I don't know what that would be, but yeah, give me all the titles of these.
Okay, so okay. I'm gonna share my screen so you can see this.
In the future, if we ever do this with Kirkland or Dylan, you should create a bunch of fake titles and see if they could figure out.
I should. Okay, it's a small poster. I apologize, but that's the first one.
Yeah.
Badass.
Michael Clark Duncan. Hell yeah.
Here's the Scorpion King 2: Rise of a Warrior from the producers of The Mummy. I'm not sure who this fellow is.
It's not showing on my screen. If you're
it's not showing up. Oh, share this tab and tab. There we go. I'm not sure who.
There we go. That's Chuck Liddell. He's a very famous UFC fighter. No. Oh, bring it back. No, Randy Couture. Sorry, not Chuck Liddell. Randy Couture many times been talked about as being the greatest fighter of all time. So they just put in another guy that could fight in there.
Okay, so that's Rise of a Warrior, and then we got Scorpion King 3: Battle for Redemption.
Billy Zane and Ron Perlman. That poster does not look real. That does not look like a real poster. I think the guy on the right.
This guy looks like Dave Bautista, to be honest.
It is Batista.
No, it's not. No,
I think it is.
No. Okay, fact check this.
I think that's Batista. Yeah. I will one. You said we did talk about the Mummy trailer last week, so that's on the last episode if you want to check that out. But
he plays Argomale.
Yeah, he plays what?
His character's name is Argomale. Argomale.
God. All right. Next poster.
That's crazy.
We got 7 minutes.
Scorpion King 4: Quest for Power. We got Lou Ferrigno in here.
Oh no, Louis!
Yeah.
No. And I think that guy on the right with the long hair, I think he's a UFC fighter as well. He's like Bear or something. So Quest for
Okay.
Power. Oh
And then
boy.
we got the last one, Book of Souls. This one's just pretty
Oh
generic. I think this was kind of like a soft reboot. Like, let's get back into making these movies. But
jeez, I wonder who's in that. But yeah, like I said, I would love. I bet there'd be some very fun reviews. It's just like, can I justify us doing that? But we'll see as we get closer. But what do you think about the actual idea of Rock being in Mummy 3 and then possibly doing a new Scorpion King?
I dig it. I mean, I'd like to get a movie that kind of sets us up more on how he was that character in The Mummy too, right?
Yeah,
The
it's a
Mummy
big jump.
Returns.
He's like a
It's
big
a very
hero.
big jump.
He's a big hero in Scorpion King, and then when they talk about him in the Mummy, he's pretty much just like a dictator. Like
Yeah.
he's an assassinate. Like he's just all about power. You know?
Yeah, and so there must be like, I don't know, throw in some kind of like Anubis coming down on him shit, like something crazy, some kind of crazy dynamic. I think there's definitely enough story there to kind of bridge that gap and dive into it. So I'm down for it. I hope that that's what they would do. If they don't and they do something else, then we'll see how that goes. But they got the pudding right there to eat.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like, how do you? I wonder if they view that as because we talk about like would they bring back the mummy again, right? Like for 1 and 2, but I wonder if that's their answer is like, oh, we're not gonna bring him back, but we're gonna bring back Dwayne, and like that makes way more sense money wise. I don't know how you bring that character back. He was a gigantic scorpion. He got stabbed and turned into dust, but I guess no one's ever really gone. Um, so yeah, I don't. I have a very soft spot in my plays for the Scorpion King. I loved those first two mummies, and I was as a kid in the height of the Attitude Era, loving professional wrestling, and then announced The Rock was going to be in the mummy movies that I also loved. Travis was on cloud nine for Scorpion King. I watched that movie so many goddamn times, and I loved it back then. I'm sure it's not great, so um. I I don't know why I'm 50-50 on because I'm completely fine with it. And I still think I know people. I saw Mike your time. I saw other people being like, "Oh, he's already going back to these movies." Because like same thing. SBubs asked like, "Will Rock be returning to Scorpion King be the same as Adam Sandler making Hubie Halloween after not winning the Oscar?" Like I think The Rock was always still gonna do this stuff. I still think he likes the big movies and the big paychecks and everything. I think he can do both. I still am a big fan of The Rock on an acting perspective because like I really enjoy what he did in Smashing Machine. So to me, there's a lot of nostalgia with the Mummy coming back. So The Rock would fin that, and I think we all could also agree that the Scorpion King CGI in Mummy 2 is not great. So maybe you get a redemption there, and it'd be fun to actually see Rock as like a villain. Black Adam was not that, so see him go up against Brendan Fraser. So I'm down. Like, let's have some fun. I think what I would want to see, and I think they would want to see too. I do not think as a company they should go, let's do the Mummy 3 and then do Scorpion King. That should be let's see what happens. I don't think they should go into Scorpion King right away. I think see how big Mummy 3 does, and if it's a hit, and if people, because don't go in production. What if Mummy 3 sucks and people aren't in on this franchise, right? That's what I would do is do something, and maybe, what they'll do, Taylor? I bet they'll do the reverse. When you said you'd want to see the bridge of how you get from how he became like the hero to the villain. I bet what they do in the Mummy 3 is they make the Scorpion King turn good this time, and he comes back to his original form as Mateus or whatever in Scorpion King, and he's seen the error of his ways, and now you can get back to doing, because that's the thing of like, okay, if you make him the villain in the Mummy 3, how do you do the Scorpion King 2 with him being the good guy again? That's what you do, is you give him the babyface turn there, and then that's a good way of like either he's a good guy and that's the end of the story, or he's a good guy and you're like leaving people wanting more, right? So that's what I'd recommend. But sure, why not? Like, well, I'm just happy Fraser and Rise is back. Let's see if it works all around, and go from there. So yeah. So quickly, next week we will be back. Next week we're planning doing the Tuesday and Thursday. Both of those are going to be Travis and Taylor told yous, because on the first week of February Taylor's not here. So instead of doing we did once a week together, we'll be doing 2 next week. So that'll be the last of that run, and then Taylor will be back to work, and so he won't be around and whatnot. You ready to go back to work? You're only like 2 weeks away from going back into the office.
Yeah, I mean, so like, out of the 5-week period, I'm currently, tomorrow will be my halfway point. But you know what? I'm looking forward to a little trip at the end of this reprieve. It'll be nice, see some more family and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe I just won't go back to work. Maybe I'll just quit, and I'll just be,
I agreed to a 5-week run. That's about it. So you have to make your own show. But no, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Thank you everyone that sent questions. Thank you everyone that watched live or listen after the fact. Like I said, us two will be back next week, Tuesday and Thursday, tentatively for 11 a.m. PST. And then I will be back on Thursday is the Oscar nomination. So I'll be breaking all that down. That'll be a juicy show. And then Town Halls tonight, 8 p.m. PST live if you want to join for that. Thank you very much. When you hear of us next, it'll not be